Okay, so this video is going to deal with some of the requirements for this first informative speech, as well as some of the techniques that I want you to use and incorporate in both the introduction and the conclusion. As I stated previously, you're free to talk about any topic that you wish. But in every speech, I like to give you guys something that you all have to do the same, something that is a common thread and a technique. And most often I will do this by helping you formulate your introductions and conclusions. So let me tell you what I mean. The introduction can be a very tough thing. It's sort of like you sit there and you go, okay, now how do I start this thing? So I like to help you out in that regard. I want you to remember this though. In any speech you give, the first 10 or 15 seconds belong to you. I know it's for the audience, but actually they belong to you. And I like you to use those first 10 or 15 seconds to find your best voice, to shake off the nerves, and to really have something interesting planned so that you are already bringing some good positive energy and a strong voice to your speech. And so for this one, as you'll see in the outline template, we're using something called the Imagine sequence. And in the conclusion, we use something called the loop back. So let's first talk about this Imagine sequence. I don't like speeches where you tell me what you're going to be talking about after 3 seconds. I think that is boring and it kind of defeats the purpose. You want to draw people in. And so this Imagine sequence requires that the first word that you say in your speech is imagine. And you then develop a sequence that doesn't even have to be connected to your topic until you want it to be later. As you'll see in the example that I've provided you, I had a student who wanted to give a speech on panic attacks and anxiety. But instead of saying, good morning, today I want to talk about panic attacks and anxiety, with this Imagine sequence, we came up with the one that you'll see that I exampled, which was imagine that you are trapped in an elevator with 10 other people. The elevator stops, the doors are locked, it's dark inside. Imagine how you would feel. Well, this is how people who have a panic attack feel when they are experiencing that. And so you use this device of imagine that you are trapped in an elevator that's dark. You put people in a position where they could imagine themselves being panicked. They might not even have anxiety, of course, but anyone can experience that. And so I want you to use this Imagine sequence to sort of creatively get to your topic, but don't tell me what the topic is in the first sentence. Use your time. Take 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and build your sequence, and then reveal your topic. And this is fun, but it's also challenging. And like I said, you can share those with me without being graded. I will take a look at your Imagine sequence, and if I don't think it's quite creative enough, I will come up with something for you that you can try. But I'd like you to do this on your own, to really think about your topic and then go through that Imagine sequence and build your topic slowly and then reveal it. And you're at the end of this Imagine sequence, and once you reveal your introduction, you should have a bridge statement. And the bridge statement usually starts with the word today. And so I would, picking up on my example, I would say, this is how people who have anxiety and panic attacks feel every day. Today, I want to talk about anxiety and the onset of panic attacks. And then you can see the 3 points that I listed. So you have in the introduction this Imagine sequence, and you have your bridge statements, which starts with today. Okay? That's a required element. Now, for this one, in the conclusion, we do something called the loop back. which means I want you to always have strong, powerful conclusions. I usually say, think of it this way. In conclusion, let me punch you in the face. I don't like to rechew my food in a conclusion. I don't like conclusions that go, in conclusion, today I talked about anxiety, how it's formed, where it happens, and what you can do. I've already digested that. So don't use a conclusion to simply rehash what you already told me. If you've done a good job, I've got that. Use your conclusion to have something powerful and make people think differently again. Instead of being the same, think different. Okay? And so I don't never mind if you say the words in conclusion. I know some teachers don't like it. I need a signal that your speech is coming to an end. And so whether it's finally or one final thought or in conclusion, I don't care about that. But the loop back technique forces you to go back to your imagined sequence and say, okay, now, how do I tie this together? And so you'll see in the example, I had, in conclusion, now that you know more about anxiety and panic attacks, you know what it feels like to be trapped in that elevator. And I've looped myself back by saying that word elevator. I've taken you all the way back to the start in my imagined sequence. And so that's a required element as well. This will help you get your introduction, it'll help you get your conclusion, and then, of course, the body is always up to you. You have three main points, and try to make them distinct and separate, yes, of course, always tied together. So this is my tutorial for the required elements in both the introduction and the conclusion. Start thinking.